Welcome to Educare 247. Today we are going to cover CAT Concept Express series, concept number 11th. So today's concept is very important. Three vital questions come on this in VARC and the topic is tackling the odd sentence sets. Alright, so as I've told you, three important questions come, and the importance of this question is such that they all are theta questions. So you can make the most of it without any risk factor, right? So the only thing that you need to have over here is a proper approach for this odd sentence sets. So let us see how we can tackle the odd sentence sets, and then we are going to see some CAT question sets. All right, actual CAT questions. So typically this is how an odd sentence question type is. All right, you will be given a direction. Four sentences are given below. Three of them, when arranged in a logical sequence, form a coherent paragraph, but one of them does not fit into the sequence. Pick the sentence that does not fit into the sequence. So what happens is, let's suppose here they have mentioned four. There can be five sentences as well, right? It varies time to time. So let's suppose there are four sentences: sentence 1, sentence 2, sentence 3, and sentence 4. All of these four sentences are what you say jumbled. All right, what they mean is that only three of these four sentences will form a coherent paragraph. All right, and one sentence will be your odd sentence, which would be different from these three. It would not go hand in hand with the three sentences that do form the coherent paragraph. So you have to choose which of that sentence is odd sentence and input your answer into the box. This is what we call theta question, right? Type in type questions. All right, so type in type answers. So let's suppose fourth sentence is the odd sentence, so you'll enter 4 over here. All right, so I hope you understood the structure, right? Let's move on to the concepts and how to solve the odd sentences. So typically this odd one sentence is a recent addition to CAT, right? It did not exist until CAT 2012. So students must get accustomed to reading the question direction before attempting any question. Alright, not only for odd sentence but parajumble or whatever RCs, whatever is coming in your examination. That is why I first took the structure of the directions. That is very vital. Alright, attempting the questions without reading the question directions could prove fatal. So basically, in short, odd sentence out is nothing but a new way of testing the old concept of parajumbles in a different way, right? So what will be a strategy to attempt the odd sentences? So the first and foremost thing, all right, look for the sentence that is most likely to start a paragraph, which is a starter, right? Starter of a paragraph. So a generalistic statement, right? I've given you some basic rules, hand rules for your parajumbles. Just apply them over here. Find the starter of the paragraph. Next, you should establish a connecting link. All right, here your parajumbles, which we have already studied, will come into the picture. The sentence that is taking the idea forward on similar lines will come next in the sequence. All right, so this sentence should join another sentence, which would be your second point. All right, so this is the step that you have to follow. All right, so see whether the subjects in the sentences are linked or no. Then repeat whatever we have done in step 2. All right, repeat it in step 3. All right, just go on finding links. All right, the sentences that you find difficult to fit in the sequence is the odd sentence and often the right answer. Usually do not always go by the appearances. The subject matter of odd sentence out may be very similar to these three sentences, but there will be one dissimilarity that will not go hand in hand. Alright, it would be talking about something else only. The context will be different and the context for these three sentences will be completely different. We must ask the question, are they logically related? Even if the sentences are not logically related, they might be independently grammatically correct and yet they may not form a coherent paragraph, and in that case that sentence will be your odd sentence out. Alright, so you'll understand how the approach is going to be there in solving the odd sentences when we tackle actual CAT questions. So let's get started with that without wasting any time. Let us start reading this practice example. So this is a theta odd sentence CAT 2017 actual question. Right, sentence 1. People who study children's language spend a lot of time watching how babies react to the speech they hear around them. Alright, so this is something regarding the babies. Alright, how they react. They make films of adults and babies interacting and examine them very carefully to see whether the babies show any sign of understanding what adults say. Alright? They believe that babies begin to react to language from the very moment they are born. So this is talking about when babies begin to react. Alright? And the first two sentences are talking about something different, which is the sign of understanding. Alright? So people study the signs of understanding babies, alright, which they show while reacting to speech. First two sentences were about that, and third sentence is about when the babies start to react. Let us read the fourth sentence. Sometimes the signs are very subtle. Again, this is talking about the signs. Slight movements of baby's eyes or the head or the hand. Alright, you see sentence 1, 2 and 3 are in sync over here. Right, they are talking about the signs. Let us read statement number 5. You'd never notice them if you were just sitting with the child. But by watching a recording over and over, you can spot them. What can you spot? Obviously, the signs. This them is signs over here. Alright. So even the fifth sentence is in sync with the sign wala concept that we have identified. Hence, very easy. You do not need to find the starter and link and all that stuff over here. Straight away, sentence number 4 should be your odd sentence out. Why? Because while all other sentences relate to signs of understanding babies, show while reacting to speech, 3 talks of when babies begin to show understanding, which is slightly a different idea. Let us have a look at the next practice example, which is again a theta odd sentence question from CAT 2017. Alright, so these are very important questions because these have actually come in your CAT. Sentence 1. The water that made up ancient lakes and perhaps an ocean was lost. Alright, it's something that does not make sense on its own. So this can never be your first sentence. Sentence 2. Particles from the sun collided with molecules in the atmosphere, knocking them into space or giving them an electric charge that caused them to be swept away by the solar wind. Alright, this is talking about something scientific over here. Alright, let us read sentence number 3. Most of the planet's remaining water is now frozen or buried. But clues over the past decade suggested that some liquid water, a presumed necessity for life, might survive in underground aquifers. Alright. Again, this is talking about the liquid water. Right. But still this cannot be your first sentence. Sentence 4. Data from NASA's MAVEN orbiter shows that solar storms stripped away most of Mars' once thick atmosphere. So this is abruptly coming in between some data of this NASA's MAVEN orbiter. Alright. So this is an informative sentence. It cannot be generalistic. It's not generalistic, right? It cannot be your first sentence. Let us read sentence number 5. That only remains our choice for sentence for the starter. A recent study reveals how Mars lost much of its early water, while another indicates that some liquid water remains. So see, this sentence is properly giving you a context, introducing idea of what we are talking about over here. So sentence number 5 should be your starter, right? If you observe, this connects to sentence number 5 because data from NASA's MAVEN orbiter show that solar storms stripped away most of the Mars' once thick atmosphere. This is directly linking this. So 4 should come next. Alright. Now sentences 4 and 2 relate to how Mars lost most of its early water. Alright. If you see sentence number 2. Particles from sun collided with the molecules in the atmosphere, knocking them into space and giving them electric charge that caused them to be swept away by the solar wind. Alright, so 4 and 2 are in sync again. And which would be the next sentence? Sentence number 3. Why? Because sentence 3 explains where liquid water remains. Alright, which is very important and vital. So all of them are in connection. So all in all, sentence 5, which talks about 2 studies related to Mars, one revealing of how Mars lost much of its early water and another indicating that some of liquid water remains, is clearly your opening sentence. Alright. Sentence 4 and 2 relate to how Mars lost most of its early water, while sentence 3 explains where the liquid water remains. Hence, this would be a coherent paragraph, which you actually do not need to find, but this is a proper approach, and hence with the help of this approach we can clearly say that 1 is the odd man out. Alright, odd sentence out. What does 1 say? The water that made up ancient lakes and perhaps an ocean was lost. This is not in the context over here. We are talking about this 5th sentence main idea. Alright. So that's it in this video, guys. I hope you have understood the concept of odd sentences out. Thank you and happy learning.